This is a funny kind of problem. I'm told that I have two integers, two positive integers, right? This guy and this guy are both positive integers. Well, what's a positive integer? If you remember, these are whole numbers, not fractions, in other words. And yet, they're being written as if they were fractions. And that's a little confusing until you realize that what it means is that although I don't know what x is, this guy right here, I don't know what x is, but I do know that if you divide it by 3, it has to be a whole number. And likewise, if you divide it by 7, it has to be a whole number. And if you divide it by 5, it has to be a whole number. If you divide it by 4, it has to be a whole number. So in other words, x is divided by 3, 7, 5, and 4. And the result is a whole number. So thinking about this problem that way should make it a lot quicker. What we're dealing with here is, do you remember this? Lowest common multiple. Okay, this is the lowest common multiple. In other words, what's the smallest number that if I divide it by 3 and 7 and 5 and 4, I get a whole number? Well, the easiest way to figure this out is you multiply 3 times 7 times 5 times 4. Now, this doesn't always give you the lowest common multiplier. It always gives you a common multiplier, but sometimes it gives you something higher than necessary. And what it comes down to is in these numbers that I just multiplied together, these guys right here, were any of them repeated? Because if they were repeated, then I'm going to get a number that's higher than it needs to be, right? If I said, what's the lowest common multiple of 3, 3, and 3? It's not 27. Okay, it's still going to be 3 because I don't need to repeat myself when I'm doing the multiplication. So when the numbers are all different like this and they don't go into each other like these guys don't, you can simply just multiply them all together. It's pretty easy. Okay, the result is 420. But let's say, for example, that one of them was 6. Okay, now I'm going off of our problem. I'm saying, what if you had a problem that was a little more difficult? What if your problem asked you to do something like this? 3, 7, 5, and 6. Well, you wouldn't just carry out the multiplication because you would notice that these two guys right here, 6 and 3, have common factors. So we wouldn't just multiply those together. Instead, we would say, okay, my 6, well, that's really just 2 times 3. And then you would say, aha, I don't need that 3. I already have a 3. So you wouldn't bother with it. Okay, that's how you deal with things that are higher numbers when you're looking for a lowest common multiple.